And good morning. It's me, Robert Phoenix, back with another edition of the Astro Weather. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that lovely behind me? That apparently is somewhere in Arkansas. And I love the framing of that shot. So we're here. Let's go. Let's see who's in. Let's see who's here with us. There he is, DJ MC, batting leadoff. I don't follow baseball much at all these days. But apparently the Kansas City Royals have been on a roll and are now about to take down the Cleveland Guardians, who've been in first place most of the season. And I hope they do, because ever since they changed the name, it's not the players' fault. Oh, come on. Come on. The Guardians. Kelly B, what's happening? Scott Jersey, my man, what's going on? Scott, buongiorno. Buongiorno. I'd like to go to Italy again one of these days. I was in Italy all too briefly. But my time there was memorable in a good way. DJ Pebblestone, wiki, what's happening? Nugs, hope you had a great anniversary, birthday, double banger birthday anniversary. Hope it was a good one. Let's see. Outstanding background. Could teleport my. I know, right? Wouldn't it be cool? That'd be so cool. You could just sit there all day, I think, really. Just sit there all day. Just take it all in, for sure. Christina Jersey, so ready for Me Too. Wow. Wow. Let me give you guys a little story here. Give you a little story. And it has to do with Mercury retrograde and just kind of life in general. So I have these plants that I really like, and I've had them for a few years now. They're called Color Guard Yucca, and I have them planted in these, glazed adobe pots, and they've survived the snowpocalypse, and they've really been a very hardy traveler along the journey here since 2020 for me. And one of them looked like it was dead, and I wanted to replace it. It's a very hard plant to replace seasonally, so I went to the dreaded Lowe's, and I got another type of yucca, thinking that, well, if I had to replace, I had an empty pot plus the Color Guard yucca, I could have the two new yucca and stick the Color Guard yucca in the center. I'm very Libran about these things. So I went in to start to replace this Color Guard yucca. Well, it was the empty pot. And my neighbor, who's really a trip, he's a trip. He's very, how would I say this, kind of country eccentric, right? And I've always found him to be incredibly entertaining, and he knows like a shit ton about trees and plants. And he's odd looking too, right? He's just kind of odd looking, but I have a fondness for eccentric people, and so I bond with him and crack jokes with him. I really like him. So he was out in his yard yesterday, and I said, his name is Larry. I said, hey, Larry, can you come on over here and just pull this pot for me? So he pulls the pot up, and we replant this yucca, or plant the yucca. And then we go to my Color Guard yucca, which is dead, and we pull that out. And then there's all these little shoots that are coming up. I'm really excited because, it's replicating itself. And so that plant isn't really going to die. It's had babies. And so, I'm bullshitting with Larry, talking with Larry. And then you have to remember now, okay, he looks, look, I'm not being judgmental, but he looks kind of odd, right? He's really skinny. He has a funny kind of hairline, and it's spiky, but he's hilarious and really, really smart. So I start talking to him, and And then what did what did we say? I said, oh, if I need to shoot a squirrel, I got my BB gun. I said, BB gun, you're in Texas, don't you have like a rifle or something? So, oh no, we keep those at the ranch. I'm like, at the ranch, really? Where's your ranch? So he tells me where it is. I'm like, oh, interesting. Well, how big is your ranch? Oh, just short of 1,300 acres. I'm like, what? 1,300 acres of land in Texas is fucking serious, right? Totally serious. And anyway, he leases part of it out for cattle and goats, and I'm like, this dude, if he wanted to cash that in, would be a multi-millionaire overnight, and probably has a significant amount of money that is already tied to it, right, in some way, shape, or form. And it goes to show you, like, you really can't judge a book by their cover, right? You just can't do it. And I'm sort of proud of the fact that I kind of enjoy eccentric people and different people. It's the 11th house, I have to say, my Chiron in Aquarius. So just a little tidbit from the everyday life. And the reason I brought up Mercury retrograde is I went into, replant the plants, which I think is not a bad thing on a Mercury retrograde. And as a result, I found out my next door neighbor is a fucking land baron. All right, Kanya Curtis in the house. What's happening, Kanya? Checking in from the most beautiful places in the world. That's right. Veronica's Barn, another beautiful place. The Central California coast. Tom Jordan in another beautiful place known as my living room. It's not beautiful, but I'm proud of it. Lannis Rising is here. What's happening, Lannis? Kelly B, again. Platinum Happiness. Looking forward to seeing you in October. By the way, before the show's over, I'm playing a little video. Mercury direct still passes some difficult areas on its way back, right? We hope it's smooth. It was quite low energy days here in New York. Well, it was buttressed by all that Gemini, at least for me. I've been loving Gemini. I love this Jupiter Gemini because it's in there trining my Venus. It was trining my Mercury moon, so I'm cool. With that. And right now it's sextiling my Uranus. So I like me some Jupiter Gemini. Moira from New York City. Jackie Delario, what's happening? Laura E is here. Green tea and cool temps today. Sounds lovely. Lovely. I just put the video that I'm going to play for you guys over on Locals. Yes, you're finally back in the home fronts. Yes, you are. Well, we missed you too, the Queen of Speed. I think complete BS that Robert's been demonetized on this platform. I can't wait to send these digital tyrants. Turn the censorship around. It is what it is. It is what it is. I would have to go back and go through. This is what I'd have to do. And they've told me this. It's like a lot of my videos have violated community standards. Well, which ones and what standards? They won't tell me. So in order for me to be monetized, I'd have to wipe out all of my past videos. And I'm like, nah, that's not going to happen. There she is, the lovely and talented one, saving Austin one tooth at a time. Seeger, Goethe is today a good day to broker a Faustian deal with a cyber demon. Find out next. Yeah, today's star of the day is Goethe. And he is a titanic figure, especially when it comes to astrology, to try to encompass the man's genius. Goethe is a very complicated character, and I'll do my best to untangle it. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. That's right, Green Egg Crow. Let's see. Who else we have here? Oh, Robert Phoenix is here. Hi, Robert. Moonsprout. Moonsprout, what's happening? Melissa Stanton checking in from Florida. Magic Cat, that's with an ICK. What's happening? Misbehaving too is here. Mary Grether. Nayeli Cardenas, you look like a new person. Welcome, welcome, welcome. First time I've seen your name here. You may have been lurking, or maybe I wasn't paying attention, but welcome. Let's see, who else? Leanne Ott. Hi, Leanne. Checking in from Austin. Sandra Wells. What's going on, cuz? Sandra Wells goes back a ways. She goes back to Blog Talk days. That's saying something. Sharon Lewis. Let's see. Sigrid says, if you play the Twin Peaks soundtrack underneath Tim Walls footage slowed down with the VHS effect, it makes more sense. That's kind of like the Wizard of Oz effect. But Waltz is such a creep. Such a creep. Hi, Carly. Aaron L. Morning. Oh, Barbara got to that backyard. She can't stay, though. She's got a hair appointment. There's a guy on YouTube named Guy Haberman. He has great hair. He gets his hair cut every week. Every week. Does anybody here get their hair done every week? Or cut? The Laws in the House. That's Lisa Ann White. Harriet Bowie. Hey. The Noga movement. There we go. There we go. Speaking of demonetized, our friend Frank from Quite Frankly was shut down on YouTube for a week for some unknown community violation. I expect to see a lot more of that as we head towards November. Yes, the Harvest Moon, please come. It's going to be great. Oh, guess what? Guess who's going to be there? Jock Doubleday. That's right. Jock Doubleday, who was on the Friday forecast, is going to be at our event. He's got something special planned for us. I can't let it out of the bag. Can't let it out of the bag, but he's got something special planned. So let's look at the lineup now. You've got me. You've got Mario from Symbolic Studies, who is great. Like, his presentation is going to take you somewhere, right? Plus, he's going to be doing tarot readings for people. Now, that's going to be between you and him, and you got to work that out. It's not part of the package. But he'll be there doing tarot readings. He's an excellent tarot reader. We got DJ Pebblestone for our Saturday night. We're going to jam on Saturday night. Now, Jock Doubleday is joining us on Saturday. He's got something special planned for us. Darlena will be with us on Sunday, and she's got a whole 2-hour human design extravaganza that she's going to bust out. We got the Friday forecast. Of course, the audience is always the guest of the show, and there could be even more. Plus, you have Chattaria. So please try and join us. The link is in the description of the show. I'm not going to raise the rates until September. I'm going to keep the rate as it is till September. Look, I kept it low this year. Every year I've had to increase it a little bit, right? This year I actually dialed it back. So for those of you who want to attend, but it might be not as affordable, there you go. Also, if you need a room, contact the hotel, and Tom is more than willing to hook you up with a room share. So reach out to Tom. Warlanda's here. She's our new sheriff over on Rumble. Hi, Warlanda. I knew I was this time. Okay, one mic. Julie Moss. What's happening, Julie? Let's see. Intrinsic. Hello back, Intrinsic. I got no cats here today. Where the fuck are the cats? No Peachy or Jasper. They must be having a moment. 15 minutes. This comes after this show. If you can join us, it's there. The link. It's also on Rumble. And I'm going in today on what I think is an interesting topic, which is ever since we've had the eclipse here in this country, we've seen more fragmentation. And since RFK has joined forces with Trump, it's created even more fragmentation. So I'm going to get into the fragmentation part and why I think that while it's well-meaning and based on principles of truth and authenticity, some of the fragmentation is missing the mark. So I'm going to get into that today. Let's see, Charlie, Optimistic in Biloxi. This kind of sounds like a country song, except they wouldn't use the word optimistic. It's got too many syllables. What would they? I'm feeling positive about Biloxi. The woman next to me is kind of foxy. It's 2 a.m. and I've been here again. But I hope she looks as foxy in the a.m. People in Florida call them Spanish bayonets, I was told. Oh, is that the yuccas? It's not the same yucca. They're friends. Armstrong Economics, World News, tyranny, Pakistan arrest man for disinformation on behalf of the UK. Interesting. Good morning, Queen Lisa. Jen Adams here. Hi, Jen. Let's put Jen up there. Good morning from Brooklyn. Feeling some fall happening. Good. Good. Randy Herrera. Yes, the elusive Randy Herrera is coming to the events. Misty. Hi, Misty. Knight of Cups is here. Let's see. Who else? BB guns are great for pest control. They are. Indeed. Claire. Hi, Claire. Jay Schaefer from Tucson. What's happening, Jay? Peas and butter from West Virginia. Donna Eve. We got a Kiwi in the house. Hi, Donna. Let's see who else we have here. In honor of redoing things, Merc going stationary, I'm eating leftover tuna noodle casserole. Tuna noodle casserole is underrated. I'm sorry, it's just underrated. Janice Phillips. Putting up the milk. Still got to feed the pigs and buns. All right, go get it done. Let's see who else we have. I sent a yacht song to your messenger, Robert. It's Metallica done in yacht style. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'll have to check it out. Let's see. By the way, I think Metallica is so overrated. So overrated. But then again, I've never been like the speed metal guy. I've never been a dirge metal person either. However, I was on a plane one time with Lars Ulrich. Desiree Conrad's here. Hi, Desiree. Blunt hair. First day of school with my kids. You got to protect those kids. You got to make sure that you put some kind of etheric shield over them, so all the ambient crap at their school bounces off of them. Mrs. North's musings. Blessings for your son's healing and peace of mind. Oh, thank you. Maybe that's for me. Maybe it's not for me, but we'll take it, Mrs. North. Mo Harrison in the house. What's happening, Mo? Laura Winkler from Illinois. I'll be up around those Illinois parts in September. No hair to cut. Oh, okay. Hair once every 4 weeks. I used to cut a guy's hair that got it done twice a week. Once a week is kind of weird to me, but he's got good hair, I have to say. Nicole DePaulo. Hi, Nicole. I used to get it done every week when my hair was short. There you go. There's a 1 weeker for the hair. Well, I hope not. I just made 8 channels. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Hey, there she is. ISCC Patricia. What's happening? Yeah, if you haven't checked out Warlanda, a cup of coffee with Scream. It's a nice listen, between 15 to 20 minutes. She's incredibly soothing, really smart, good storyteller, connector, plus you get the kid. The kid is a bonus. Peter Biome, getting ready for work. Go get it, Peter. Let's see. What else do we have here? Rainbows and butterflies. I have the best taste in music. Some people might not agree with it, but thank you. SF girl in the house. We got 2 Kiwis. Gaia Dance. 2 Kiwis. I do like the Kiwi. Kelly, we totally agree, Robert. I don't get it. So, any of you into animal totems? There was a garter snake in my house 2 days in a row. It was in my kitchen. All right, help her out. Help her out with that animal totem stuff. TFT. Good morning, Jen Adams. Triple exclamation. Pantera. You know, I don't know much about Pantera. I've listened to them. I know that Dimebag Darrell was a part of Pantera, and what I've heard, they're more interesting than Metallica. It's not my thing, but they're more interesting than Metallica. Just saying. Patty Kincaid. Hi, Patty. There's an Alice in Chains Yacht Rocks on it too. Oh my God. I actually like Alice in Chains. I like that thing. Let's see. Who else do we have here? I love Orlando. Amy Gill. Yes, we all love Orlando. Sun Trekker Thompson. Trees Garden Star chat. It's Teresa. She's in. Saoirse, I've been listening to the Smiths again because of you. Because of me, the Smiths? Really? Interesting. Johnny Marr's great. Very, very underrated guitar player. And, you know, Morrissey is, you know, pretty fucking iconic, interesting character. Let's see who else we have here. Saoirse. Let's all say it. Saoirse. Let's see. Thornton Doors here. And Mr. Gray No More. And I get thumbs up for Alice in Chains. TFT said my old boss always talked about Pantera. He was like Bubba Gump, how he went on and on about Pantera. All right, let's move on to the star stuff. We'll get into the star stuff now. Enough dilly and dallying. But if I'm going to dilly and dally, I'm going to dilly and dally with you. Okay. Here we go. Away we go. I think I neglected to talk enough about Virgo. It's kind of very Virgo-like. By the way, did you guys see my? You guys probably don't follow. Some of you follow me on Twitter, and some of you don't. But I'm going to put this up here. I just thought it was so appropriate. So appropriate. So Nancy Culp, who played Miss Hathaway on the Beverly Hillbillies, is a Virgo. Does that, like, if we're looking in some ways at archetypal Virgo, it's Miss Hathaway. Oh, Jethro. Oh, Jethro, I find your country ways at times so charming. All right. There it is. So let's talk about Virgo. Because I didn't really cover it on Sunday night. It kind of slipped. It was all about RFK. It was about a Capricorn stealing the light of Virgo. Virgo, in my estimation, and I'm barely one, is probably there are 2 signs in the zodiac that I find to be underrated. One is Cancer, which I've talked about. I think Cancer is a very underrated sign. The other is Virgo. We just take it for granted that Virgo's there and that Virgo is always going to be there. And the Virgo people in our lives are just always going to be there. You know why? Because for the most part, they are. They're there. You know, Virgo represents the 6th house, and that's the people that do things for you, right? Whether it's the person that cuts your hair once a week, or the person that cleans your teeth every 6 months, or the person that cuts your lawn, or the person that makes your espresso, or the person that takes your order, right? Those are all very 6th house occupations. It's not sexy. It's not glamorous. but it's essential. And that's why I think Virgo is a little bit underrated. Even its opposite sign, Pisces, I think gets more buzz and attention, for better or worse, because there are people who would chime in on the pro Pisces side, and like Quincy Jones, who is a Pisces, will exclaim, hey, it's the best sign to be born under. And I would say that as far as creativity goes, I've never met a Pisces who wasn't creative, except for maybe my mother. My mother was not creative, even though she didn't create me. Other than that, I was very creative. But she had 4 planets in Aries. So she got shit done. But Virgo is an underrated sign. And it's because of the fact that we just sort of, it feels to me like almost every other sign kind of gets kind of lost in the sauce in some ways. You start off with Aries, in the zodiac with a bang. Oh, Aries. Yeah, Aries. Courageous, dynamic, warriors. Act first, think later, right? And then you go into the second house in Taurus. It's like, Taurus, yeah, they're nice. Sometimes they're really nice to look at, and they have some money, and they're good to cuddle with, and Taurus. Then Gemini, wow, Gemini. Hey, they're precocious. They're smart. They're kind of wicked. Hey, Gemini, it's fun. You get to Cancer. It's like, Cancer, they're nice. They're really nice. Yeah, they'll make you some soup. Yeah, they'll tuck you in. They'll put the thermometer in your mouth. Yeah, they're nice. And then Leo, wow, Leo, look at them. They're special. Look at those Leos. They're talented. And then there's Virgo. Virgo. Yeah, they'll mow your lawn. They'll clean your house. They'll clean your teeth. They'll make your latte. Virgo. And you get to Libra. Oh, Libra. They're so beautiful. They're so charming. They're so aesthetic. They're so shallow. No, just kidding. Right? Am I right? It's almost like every other. And then you go into Scorpio. Scorpio. And that's just it with Scorpio. Oh, Scorpio. And then move on. Oh, Sagittarius. They're so funny. They're so avuncular. They're so adventurous. Oh, my God. Sagittarius. What's a party without them? You get to Capricorn. Oh, Capricorn. Yeah, they got to the top. Whatever. Yeah, they're cheap. Let's move on. Let's talk about the next sign. Aquarius! Man, are they revolutionary? They're radical. They're original. They're down. They're for the people. Yeah, Aquarius. Pisces. Oh, Pisces. What are we going to do for you? You need a hug. You need a hug, Pisces. You know what I mean? Every other sign, that's how it goes. And so now we're into the sign of Virgo. I mean, so this is the time of year where we reap what we have sown. If you've been doing your work, your inner work, your astrological work, your outer work, you will reap what you'll sow during this season. And yesterday was kind of a Virgo day. Right? Get in there, pluck out the dead leaves, replant. Anyway, it was good. So this is the month where you roll up your sleeves and you do the dirty work. Right? You just got to do the dirty work, get into the details, and whistle while you do it. That's Virgo. And we're in the first decan, so we're in deep Virgo right now. And we're still in this square with Uranus. And that'll be happening for the next 2 days? 2 more days. I'm in a Sun Uranus square mood today. Because I always have to say, are you just being a fucking contrarian? Yes, maybe. But I'm in that mood today because this whole thing with Trump and RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, on the one hand, it can seem artificial and totally contrived. and like, oh, here we go, you know, new old wine in new bottles. Okay, I get it, right? And at the same time, I mean, you've got RFK talking about chemtrails. It's such a weird thing. Like he's talking about getting rid of chemtrails. When was the last time we ever heard somebody talk about chemtrails? When was the first time we heard somebody talk about chemtrails? My God, Marjorie Taylor Greene's talking about chemtrails. It's on the menu. And then you have these accounts on Twitter. Some of them I'm about to just block. One of them is called Serious B, and it's like puts up a thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Well, the air and water have always been poisoned to control people. I'm like, really? Always? Always? That's a big statement. Always and forever? Really? Like, I think of, you know, I think of like the natives in the deep, deep rainforest in Papua New Guinea. Like, have they always poisoned their water and their air? Right? I think of the Inuits way up there, you know, where Nanook lives. Have they always poisoned their water and their air? You know, I think of the Yanomami in the Brazilian rainforest. Has their air and their water always been poisoned? It's like we've entered into this era of absolutism. Absolutism. And I think it's that Sun Uranus square, and that's what's been going on. But it's also very much Pluto in Aquarius, very much absolutism. Right? It's a fixed sign. So I'm kind of taking on the absolutism today, not here but there. That's your Sun Uranus square, and I can feel it, right? Like I'm sick and fucking tired of David Icke. I'm sick and fucking tired of David Icke. Every day he gets on Twitter and he complains. You're Elon Musk, you're shadow banning me. Nobody sees my post. David, I see your goddamn tweets every day. And some days I don't want to see them because you're just a crotchety, angry old man. And I have this theory about David Icke. His new enemy is Elon Musk. His new enemy is not Keir Starmer. I find that interesting. You know why? Because if David Icke shouted at Keir Starmer, they'd send the Royal Navy after David Icke, and they'd pull him out of his quaint little bungalow on the Isle of Wight. Anyway, it's the Sun Uranus square, and I guess as we reach the point where it's about to move on, it becomes the loudest. So there's a lot of contrarian energy in the air today, and I just demonstrated that. There it is, Mercury, just waiting to go direct. 21 degrees. That would put it into the Aries decan. And I guess we're all itching to just move forward here. Right? I've been putting off some stuff until tomorrow. Like I've got 3 major things, contracts to sign. I've got something around the house here that needs to be dealt with. I didn't want to deal with it. Like 2 things. I didn't want to deal with them until Mercury went direct. I've got to repair my truck. So I'm just waiting. I've got 4 things, and I'm just waiting, for that, the green flag at the Daytona 500 tomorrow. And again, because it's in Aries, there's going to be a real sense of like, let's go. Let's get things done. And I really do like the sextiles here with Jupiter and Mars, especially as Mercury moves forward, gets tighter into that Mars sextile. And it feels very dramatic. Mercury in Leo is very dramatic. And as it moves forward, it's going to be very interesting to watch in the politosphere, right? It's going to be very interesting to watch in the politosphere and how dramatic the speeches and presentations and the oratory gets. Speaking of Cancer, We have the moon in Cancer. It's just coming in right now, and we're getting ready to wind down with the moon. We've got basically one more sign before it begins its balsamic dip. It sounds like an interesting party on balsamic dip. Anyway, it's just this morning. It's kind of an interesting inconjunct with Pluto. I'm trying to wrap my head around that a little bit. I mean, I could slice and dice that about 5 different ways, just right off the top of my head. Here's how I'm going to interpret it, because for me, it also dovetails into what I'm going to be talking about on 15 minutes. And while all these people are pontificating about, this is just a duopoly, and this is, this is just another mono party, this is just a scam and a sandbag. They're going on and on and on. And I can't believe you suckers are fun. Meanwhile, towns like Aurora, Colorado are being taken over by fucking Venezuelan gangs. Please get off your fucking absolutist pedestal and get your feet on the ground and look around and see what the fuck is happening. Right? It's stirred up this political debate about who's more pure and who is like, oh, well, until Trump apologizes for Operation Warp Speed, I can't take him seriously. Like, I get it. Was not a fan. I'm still not a fan. He's not going to. He never apologizes for anything. Like, it's not going to happen. It's like, it's at a certain point, we have to fucking move on. Right? We have to move on. And I'm sorry that it all happened for many reasons. And I hope, let me hear, I'm going to compartmentalize this. We don't have to move on from what happened and the damage that it caused, because it caused a lot of damage. Like, I'm convinced that my mother, after being vaccinated, it shortened her lifespan because she started getting sick. Okay. So, it hits home, right? And is it Trump that needs to be held accountable? Partially. I would say yes. But he's not going to apologize. So then you have all the other people. What's interesting to me is that even though Trump started Operation Warp Speed, nobody ever talks about Biden and how Biden wanted to mandate everything. And it went to the fucking Supreme Court and they said, no, you can't do that. But it's all Trump's fault. Yeah, he shoulders some blame. Now, what we got to do now is we got to wrap our heads around the fact that we can't let it happen again. We can't be living in 2020 because monkeypox is something that Tedros and all those other freaks are investing heavily in, or West Nile virus. Like, okay, it's happened. Let's get in the present. It can't happen again. And whoever these people are who are going to be our supposed leaders, get them on the record. So you're going to shut the country down again. Like, that's something that somebody needs to ask Trump. If you want to bring it into the present, bring it into the present. Because he's not going to apologize for the past. To me, this is the moon Pluto in conjunct. Right? Like, there's a lot of emotional intensity going on right now around values. And I get it. I totally get it. At a certain point, like, you can only carry so much baggage as a person. And when I talk about baggage, I'm not talking about personal baggage, although that's true. You can only carry so much cultural and political baggage before it just weighs you down. Right? You have to prune and slice somewhere along the way. And you keep the things that are valuable and important. Like, he's never going to apologize. It's just the way it is. But again, the key is to get him to commit to not doing it again. Let's flip this, people, right? Let's flip it. And somebody needs to ask him that question. It's important. So this is the Moon Pluto in conjunction. And you're going to get a lot of, at least this morning, you'll get people that are very entrenched in their values and can't let something go. And I get it. I understand it. What else do we have here? The sun. The sun. We got a sun-moon sextile. Those are pretty uncommon. You have to wait, right? Like the next sun-moon sextile would be somewhere in Scorpio. So not too long, but the sextile, and they don't last very long because the moon moves so fast. So today's one of those days where your emotions are in alignment with the Virgoan energy wherever it shows up in your chart. And that's why it's good to know your chart, because that's where the sun is right now. That's where your level of activity needs to be. And it's easy to connect your emotional motivation to your activity. Easy peasy. And sun moon sextile, especially in Cancer Virgo, is very domestic, very healing, very nurturing. So maybe this is a good day to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Go take a nice hot foot bath or something like that. You know that's Pisces. Let's talk about Pisces. We have right now, today, Venus moving into the exact opposition with Neptune and squaring Mars. That is churlish. That's churlish. That's a churlish T-square. Again, people getting hung up on details. Details are fine. Details are important. But it's kind of like it's like this. It's like a scene from Kiss of the Spider Woman. I always loved this scene, and it's William Hurt and Raul Julia, and they're in prison, and William Hurt's eating an avocado, and Raul Julia gets on his case because the avocado is the fruit of the bourgeoisie. And William Hurt, he's asking why he's eating it, because I like avocados. Well, don't you know that what an avocado stands for? And it's this interesting little banter about a fucking avocado, right? Like Raul Julia is so attached to the symbol that the avocado stands for in the class struggle that he can't even enjoy a fucking avocado, right? So that's your Venus moon square and the opposition with Neptune. And Venus and Virgo, you can see this again on Twitter. All these people are getting very, very, very particular about things. And the square with Mars is kind of combative. It's a bit of a combative energy. The opposition with Neptune, I think, means that there's gross misunderstanding. And then the Mars-Neptune square, and that Mars is going to keep going, get into that Tyre square with Neptune. And it feels to me like, open up the escape hatch. So I would say go easy if you can on the criticism, especially when it comes to like bouncing it back to yourself. That's a hard T-square. And then over the next couple of days, that Mars Neptune square is all about escape. Like from a social level, it's also very interesting. I wonder if we're going to have like another like assassination attempt or something along those lines where clearly the individual is a scapegoat. This is big time scapegoat energy with this Mars Neptune square. And I think on an interpersonal level with people, I think it's always important to be truthful and honest and clear. I think those are really important qualities that I've learned to practice over the years. And at the same time, not everybody's always ready for it, as we know. And I think that Neptune opposition with Venus is misreading the room and thinking that somebody's ready to hear something that you've had want to say. And then you say it, and it's like, oh, they weren't really ready for that. The good news is that a lot of this energy is mutable, it's changeable, it's course correctable. So even if you get hung up in the horns of the T-square, right, it's not unmanageable. You kind of go back, especially with Mercury retrograde, and say, what happened? How did we get here? Let's retrace this. Or maybe not. Maybe you just want to leave it alone. That's up to you. What else? We got the Grand Trine still happening. Venus, Pluto, and Uranus, which I like. And that really offsets this T-square. You know what this feels like to me? It feels like branching out and finding new people to connect with. And the kind of the old lines of connection and communication are much more challenging. And there are newer connections and newer relationships that are and have been available and on the table. So I encourage you to make some of those bonds, create some of those bridges. It was kind of like yesterday with my buddy next door, right? Like, oh, look at you, you're a fucking land baron. I wouldn't have known that. But there we go. It's the Venus Uranus trine, Venus trine Pluto. Yeah, he's a land baron. Oh, look who's here. All right, let's get into our start of the day. We're running out of time. I'm behind. Yes. I know you want my attention. You want my attention. Be nice to the Virgo people in your life. When I say Virgo people, it's the little people. It's the wee folk. The people who do things for you. Okay. Today's True Hemp Science star of the day is none other than Wolfgang von Goethe, who supposedly had an IQ of 200. I don't know how they measured it, but based on his prolific output, I can see that. True Hemp Science is your one-stop shop for all things CBD, where when you spend $100 or more and you type in 15MINS, you get the goodie bag. Now, this isn't the entirety of the goodie bag, but it is a nice little foundation, especially the Starlight gummies. The CBD there is incredibly high quality. It is organically sourced, and Chris is an absolute alchemist when it comes to mixing the CBDs for whatever specific need you have. $150 more get you free shipping, and there's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to truehempscience.com. 15MINS is your code. You can even make an appointment to talk about your CBD needs with Chris or his assistant. More than likely his assistant. He's a busy man. Okay, let's get into Geothe. Now, looking at somebody's chart, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Looking at somebody's chart, it is, and looking at Goethe, the challenge here is to find the immensity of mind and then some in the chart. So he's a Scorpio rising, which means his he was a fucking sex freak. Which I as I dove into the Goethe files, he was a sex freak. He was the equivalent of a philanderer. And at that time in Germany, it was if he wasn't so fucking smart, he wouldn't have gotten away with it. So Scorpio rising, he's got Pluto in Scorpio in the first house. So there was a time in my 30s when I had Pluto transiting my ascendant. And I got a full dose of Pluto and Scorpio uh, on the ascendant, my first house. Let me tell you, uh, it's very powerful, and you can make shit happen. Right there is almost a mesmeric effect with Pluto on the ascendant, and there's a work that he did. What is it? It's a book. Hold on. This is an important part. It's the apprenticeship of Heisler. Hold on, where's this book? It's important because he gets into themes in this book that's pretty interesting. Wilhelm Meister's Journeyman Years. It's a very, very long work. And this is what Wikipedia says about it, which I thought is very, very interesting. One of the things that he talks about in the book is about intentionality. It's very, very interesting. Intentionality. Like I've never read this, but it seems to me like this is a theme of Goethe, which is that there is an esoteric and occult background to many of the things that he does, including Faust, which is his life work. And let's go back to the chart. Which is his life work. And with Pluto on the ascendant, and even Saturn in Scorpio in the 12th house, both of those placements seem quite Faustian. But he has a grand trine. So let's get into the mind of Goethe. He's got a grand trine with Pluto, Jupiter, and Neptune. I think this is the profundity of Goethe. It's the grand trine. And he was schooled at home. He was homeschooled. Jupiter, 4th house, Moon in Pisces, and he's a freaking genius. And he's often studying things at a young age. Get it. Peachy's found in prey. So there's profundity here, right? Jupiter trine Neptune is, I would say, spiritual profundity. Neptune in the 8th house is also quite Faustian as well. Jupiter trine Pluto is all about assets and other people's money and riches and plumbing the depths of the psyche. And then we have Venus at the top of a kite pattern here. So he's got a Venus sextile to Pluto, Venus sextile to Neptune, and Venus opposing Jupiter. He was not very fidelitous, even with Venus in seemingly discerning Virgo. Not very fidelitous. 9th house Sun, there isn't anything that Goethe could not tackle. He was, if he wanted to study something, he would plunge into it like a Scorpio rising in Pluto, and he would learn all about it very, very quickly, whether it was minerals or whether it was plants. He gets into this whole idea of morphology, like way before Darwin does. Like, it's his natural intensity and curiosity that I think is part of the reasons why he's so profound. Uranus and Aquarius in the 3rd house is genius. And he's ahead of his time, right? There's something about Goethe where he is ahead of his time. And anytime you see Uranus in the 3rd house, the person is incredibly bright and cutting edge and avant-garde and ahead of their time. And I've often quoted the placement of Uranus in the chart of Brian Eno that would reflect this. So he has Mars in Capricorn, in the second house. And Mars is exalted here. It trines the sun, and it trines Mercury. So he's a hard worker, right? He's prolific, and he fucks a lot. He does. He's very into it, right? Mars Jupiter square, more. Mars Venus square. He's probably pissed off a lot of people that he was in a relationship with. And Goethe was kind of a sex freak. He also was he was a Mason. He's a Freemason. I think that's very Saturn 12th house. There's also this idea that he's connected to the Priory of Sion. And he said, the liner notes, said he showed interest in Adam Weishaupt's version of the Illuminati. Mr. Goethe lived in Bavaria, even though he was born in Frankfurt. And he has that Uranus-Saturn square, which is interesting because he's quite rebellious, right? He is quite rebellious. And I often wondered, like, did he actually summon a demon? Did he summon a demon so that he could basically have the liner notes to Faust? He was very into alchemy. So he's this guy that has this classical education. He writes what could be considered the first sort of tragic romantic novel, The Sorrows of Young Werther, about a young man who's so overcome by life and feeling in many regards that he commits suicide. It's overwhelming. And it's a very controversial work for its time. Extremely controversial. Goethe's a trip. His political leanings are kind of hard to pin down, but he's not a nationalist. He did not like this idea of sort of the rise of the Germanic folk. He didn't like that. He also did not trust the French Revolution because he thought that the mob ruled by the populace would be an absolute dismal failure. So he's this strange kind of social liberal that essentially wants to define his political beliefs somewhere in the center. And he did like the United States Revolution. He thought it was interesting. He thought good for them. They can unloosen the shackles of Europe in ways that we cannot. He's a fascinating character. People have, like, there are institutes around the world set up for Goethe. That's how deep this guy cut. And the whole Faustian story about doing a deal with the devil is timeless. Timeless. Now, just to give you a quick example, I'm not going to get out of here, of what a horn dog he was. He lived with this woman. What was her name? Vivian Voluminous or Voluminous or something like that, right? It was two V's. And he said that she was his force of nature. Of course, he was infidel to her, but they lived together. And in Germany at that time, you didn't really live together. You know, you got married and then you lived together. But that, you know, that's Goethe. He's going to play by his own rules. And one day, apparently, their house was being ransacked by some French hooligans. And she was the one that managed to scurry them off, not Goethe. And because he was so thankful for her loyalty in that time of trial, he married her. So they got married, and they lived another 10 years married. And the day after she died, he proposed to a 16-year-old. That's how complicated this guy is. And I can't really do the immensity of the chart justice, but I hope that you've gotten something out of it based on this thumbnail sketch of Mr. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. He's like an uber Virgo and then some. All right, that's it. Thanks for being here. Mods, thank you very much for your always appreciative participation. Chataria, thank you for being here. Please come join us in the Hill Country on October 4th, 5th, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The link is in the chat. It's in the show notes. Hang out with us on 15 minutes where I can be more contrarian. And that's it. Treat each other well. Take care of yourselves. Have a blessed day. And remember, use your head in order to discern what's real, your heart to stay open to what's possible. I try to ditch it, but it stays with it. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.